Thank you for your participation in this Global ITAM Summit. My presentation today is on the value of having a great program management for your asset management capability. There are many dollars, risks, and decisions to be made and leveraged by doing asset management well at a program level. Our specialists, our experts have told us so much about why we need to think about their specific area. My topic is more of a general capability within an organization. I thought you might like this shirt. Cloud management, paying extra for servers in someone else's data center, as I feel like that is so true in today's world. That's why many organizations are bringing their cloud workloads back on premise just because the value wasn't there for whatever reason. That's a topic for a different day. But let me know what you think of this presentation, and I look forward to your feedback. And thank you once again for joining us on the Global ITAM Summit. My name is Jeffrey Tefertiller, and in this session, we will talk about the building blocks of an effective asset management program. Before I get started, I wanted to make sure I acknowledge and show my appreciation to the other hosts and guests who are sharing their expertise, their knowledge, their life, and how they have gained all this expertise with us. They did not gain this expertise overnight, and it took them many years to be able to be so talented and so much of a wealth of expertise for us. This presentation is going to be about an asset management program view. Why do we care? Why is it needed? And what's in it for us if we do asset management better? Most organizations struggle with the basics. I don't think that's news to anyone. Having the best tools, that will not make you successful. Having the best people on the planet on your team, that'll help, but that will not guarantee your success. Outsourcing to the best vendor, sure, that may help you make incremental progress, but it won't ensure your success. Each of these help, but success is predicated on two things. Executive support. Most of us have been in situations where we either had executive support and we're very thankful, or we didn't have that support from the executives and from our leaders, and it was painful and it was difficult. And then the second thing that success is predicated on is what I would like to discuss today. It's a strong program level strategy and execution. In the next few minutes, we'll talk about why we need to establish this program level view and how do we execute our strategy and how do we do things better. A few weeks ago on LinkedIn, I put out a poll. I like LinkedIn polls. It helps me understand what other people are struggling with. So the question was, which area of IT asset management does your organization struggle with the most? I was surprised, frankly, that overall program management was the highest in this poll. The topic and area that people struggled with and thought about and had anxiety over, and leaders worried about how do we do things better. Software licensing had 28%, hardware tracking, lifecycle. If you think about who owns what laptop and where is it located and what is our life cycle for that hardware, that's very important as well. And cloud utilization, also very important. I was surprised that program management ranked so highly. So why do we care about ITAM program leadership? I like this picture of this man who has a big jigsaw puzzle spread over the kitchen table. I know many families that really enjoy puzzles together. We find this blue patch and we're trying to make all the puzzle pieces fit the picture on the outside of the box. The thing about puzzles is it takes a while sometimes. It may take days or weeks, but there's a momentum that's gained. And so it's also good to do it as a group. And while many organizations do aspects of asset management well, they may do cloud well or hardware well or software well. There still needs this aspect of how do all these pieces of asset management go together? And not only how do they go together, but how do we assemble them to best deliver the outcomes for our business stakeholders? And when we think about it, that is the why we do things. How do we deliver these outcomes for these business stakeholders? Because the focus must be on our business outcomes. When we think of why do we do ITAM, why do we do IT asset management? The focus must be on those business outcomes. And we'll talk about a few of those in just a few minutes. But I wanted to direct our thoughts at the very beginning of all these puzzle pieces are out there and we can do things well, but it takes putting all those puzzle pieces together that really adds the value. So when we think of our business outcomes, I like the picture of the chess pieces. It represents our decisions. We have many decisions from a business point of view, whether we invest in IT asset management or something else. So our IT asset management should help this overall organizational decision making. It may be helping us identify technical debt. It may help us understand the life cycle of our assets, or even how do we help plan and budget for our renewals. The picture with all of the money, I think many of us would love to dive in and swim around in a big bathtub of money. Too bad those are just $1 bills instead of hundreds, right? But another business outcome besides the decisions is how do we maximize our investments, our costs that we have in our IT assets. And third, you see the danger button. We have risk. Every organization has many types of risk. IT asset management is a very big aspect of us understanding the risk in our IT organization and even our broader organization. The risk could be related to security, it could be related to many other aspects, but decisions, cost optimization, and risk management are the three main business outcomes that our stakeholders desire. And that should be our focus. There are a lot of savings available. I like this slide. It's from the Flexera 2023 Tech Spend Pulse. It's the estimated wasted technology spend. Think about on your desktop software. Mainly, you could have some wasted hardware spend. But we have mainly desktop software spend that goes to waste. And we don't initially and intuitively think about all the software that's on our desktop. Yes, we have Windows. Yes, we have Office, but we have so much more that lives on our desktops that we do not utilize well. If you think about a 27% waste, that's a large number. 23% waste in our data center software spending. We spend a lot in our data centers for software. 23% represents a big number. 21% wasted for software as a service spend is huge. And I say that because many organizations are switching and evolving from data center software to software as a service. And so this 21% is a big number. I actually thought it would be larger because very few organizations monitor the utilization and the spend within their SaaS applications. And lastly, 19% wasted in our infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. These are some big numbers when you think most organizations spend 20, 30 million. Some spend in the billions that I know of and I've worked with. So if you took an average of 22, 23% off of $1 billion, that's a lot of money. Maybe enough for us to take a bathtub in those dollar bills or hundreds. Here's another Flexera chart. The estimate of the combined savings and cost avoidance that you realize from your SAM program in the past year, it's in millions of dollars. So this was a huge, huge realization for me. I read this to say that your software asset management program, doing things well from a program view, can save $1 million from a third of the respondents, 0 to $1 million. I also look at the 1 to 2 million is 12%. So a little bit less than half are in the 0 to $2 million range. But look at that 7% that can save over $50 million. That is a big number for us to be able to save. Flexera has a big sample size. So 7% saving 50 million is a big number. Even 4% saving 25 to 50 million, and another 5%, 10 to 25 million. If we think about those in a group, 16% of respondents saved at least $10 million. And that's from just software asset management. We could save through cloud and hardware as well. So having a great program can help us leverage and lock into some of that savings. When we think about a program, I think about us going out on this journey. We are walking through this journey. We do not have very much direction. We try to find our own way. And the next few slides will talk about us finding our slot or finding our direction and helping us find our way. But I like this picture because it's representative of many people who are going about their beginning of their asset management program and they're on this adventure. It's them and it's wide open spaces and trying to figure out context. And so it's very important for us to get off on the right track when we are establishing a program. We need to do the basics of the policies, the processes, and the procedures in a very big picture way. And I say that because most of us do not consider how we get started and how do we go forward if we get off track. We will get off track. It is a certainty. But what do you do when you get off track? Do you leverage your resources or do you invest more money? How do you even measure whether you're off track and by how much? One of the illustrations I try to use frequently, but not overuse, is that for every degree that you are off track, and if you think about a degree, it's 1/360th of a circle, so very small. But for every degree that you are off track, you will miss your intended destination by 92 plus feet for every mile you travel. So if you are off by just a few degrees and you desire to travel a long distance, you will miss your mark by a big, big margin unless you are always assessing and reassessing and how do we do things better from a program level view. And this getting off track and putting us back on track is all about program because we can do cloud well and still be off track. We can do software well and still be off track. Many software and hardware and asset management professionals and practitioners will tell you that, for example, if you do not have a strong hardware asset management program, you're probably going to struggle with software asset management because it's the software that lives on the hardware. And a few years ago, was asked by a very large consulting company, hey, can you help us find and set a process for our hardware asset management? They had 300,000 laptops, but only knew where 47% of them were. So that means, simple math, you have more than 150,000 laptops out there with all types of software licensing, software implications from that licensing, even the cost of renewals and cost of everything else, just because they did not do hardware asset management well. So we need to have a mechanism at the program level to help us understand what do we do when we get off track and how do we get back on track. And that leads me to this compass. We need a compass at the program level. We need something that tells us we are here. I think of the mall or an amusement park, when you walk in and you're moving around and you're wondering, hey, where are we? And you see these huge maps and it has a little star and it says, you are here. We need to understand in our program where we are and which direction it is that we desire to go. Most organizations struggle with both aspects of this. And I would like you to think about, how do you know where you are? And it's not from an assessment per se. Sure, assessments can help. And we at Service Management Leadership would love to help you with that. But you need some mechanism to help you understand where you are and what direction you want to go. The second part is something that is going to be unique to the organization. No outside organization is going to tell you where you need to go. And so you need to understand your direction and where you are headed internally, and possibly with the help of a consultancy, but they're not the ones that are giving the answers. They're the ones that are asking the questions. I like this picture of birds. I don't know if you noticed, but when birds fly, there's always a V pattern when they're in big groups, a flock, if you will. The leader is helping the birds that are behind them get to where they need to be more efficiently. The birds know how to go through the wind and the air as efficiently as possible, taking advantage of the aerodynamics that are created by the birds that are in front of them. And that's the same way that having a strong IT asset management program will help your cloud, your software, your hardware, but it also help your supply chain and your purchasing. It'll help your budgeting, your financial management. It'll also help in other ways. And so I think of this area where, how do we get people rowing in this right direction, in the same direction, at the same pace? How do we make sure that we are doing it in a way that everybody is on the same page and we communicate that? And so only with a strong program leadership will your asset management program deliver the optimal value for your stakeholders. And I want to take this a step further. When I showed the picture of everybody rowing in the same direction, that means we have to have a program leader, like the person that sits in front of the boat saying, row, row, row in a methodical, in a consistent cadence. We need somebody that is accountable and is leading this effort from the viewpoint that everybody can see them and they can understand what good looks like. Many of us have been in situations where we did not have good program leadership with our asset management program or other programs. And it felt like we were doing things that were not cohesive. They were mismatched for activity on one person's part versus activities from another. And so we need to understand this value of the overall asset management program and how that person helps understand stakeholder desired outcomes, what are the needs, the risks, what are the capabilities that those stakeholders desire. And so I want you to be thinking of this. This is not a presentation that is going to give you all the answers. Nothing in 20 or 30 minutes will give you all the answers. But you have to be thinking, what is the problem statement? What is it that we're trying to solve? And I'm pushing out this thesis statement that what you're trying to solve is a program level view of your asset management environment, your tools, your people, your expertise, your vendors. You need some type of quality, and I mean high quality program level view. And of course, the last slide is my organization, Service Management Leadership. And if your organization wants to improve its asset management capabilities, especially at the program level, we can help. I thank you for joining us during this, as this has been a labor of love putting on this Global ITAM Summit, and I hope that you are enjoying it. Please give all of the speakers great feedback as they donated their time, their expertise to helping us all understand their areas better. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Let me know what you think of the summit as a whole, and thank you once again. I hope you enjoyed that presentation on a program level view of asset management. I welcome your feedback on what you might have learned, or maybe you think I missed something. I welcome that conversation. Now we'll have a word from our sponsor, Service Management Leadership, before we go to our next guest. Thank you once again for joining us, and hopefully you are finding great value from the Global ITAM Summit.
Is your asset management program, or CMDB, sick? If your asset management program, or CMDB, is not healthy and you want to get either of them checked out, Service Management Leadership will diagnose the issues. We will provide you with a free initial consultation and assessment. The short assessment includes a review of your metrics and tools. This includes what you are measuring and why, plus your tools and integration. A meeting with stakeholders to understand their needs. Most issues originate from unstated or unmet stakeholder expectations. We will ask the right questions. We will then summarize our findings at a high level and give you a proposal that discusses next steps. What makes service management leadership different than most consultancies you encounter is a holistic approach that comes from being in the industry for a few decades. Yes, decades. Our founder, Jeffrey Tefertiller, began in the asset management industry in May of 1994. Our approach includes an end-to-end understanding of your processes. The holistic approach also includes an understanding of your current state tools and what you want to accomplish. The most important aspect of our holistic approach is the alignment of activities to the needs of stakeholders. Every action or effort that is not aligned to what your stakeholders need is wasted. Our approach also includes a review of your in-house expertise. Lastly, our approach includes an understanding of your current metrics and reporting and what is needed. If you are not getting the value needed from your asset management program or your CMDB, contact Jeffrey Tefertiller and our team of experts at Service Management Leadership.